So welcome back to the session. In the last video lecture, I have explained about nuclear fission and fusion reactions. So you can say though it depends upon the company or country's economy growth or useful for the infrastructure at the time of wars or whatever it may be, there are many other disadvantages. Especially the nuclear disposal is a very toughest problem. So here in this video lecture, let us have a case study of what happened in case of nuclear disaster. In the Chernobyl disaster, which was held at April 26 in 1986. It was a nuclear reactor accident actually in the Chernobyl nuclear power plant in the Ukraine. This is a very small country, Ukraine, so which used to be the part of the Soviet Union, nothing but what we call as Russia today. It is considered to be the worst nuclear power plant disaster in history and only level 7 incidents on the international nuclear event scale. So what is nuclear power? The energy produced by splitting atoms in a nuclear reactor. That's what I have explained in previous video lecture. So this is the reactor primary water. This is the pump steam generator, and with the help of turbines it is going to generate electricity. Correct? So this is a chain-like process. So why it is dangerous actually? So nuclear power technology produces materials that are active in emitting radiation and are therefore called as radioactive. So we are all exposed daily to a little radiation, but too much we are all exposed to daily little radiation, but too much or in mass quantities can destroy cells. So that what will have the major disadvantages is cause organs to shut down or after long and continuous exposure, it may lead to cancer. So this is the reactor schematic, right? So pressure tubes, fuel, this is steam separator, like each and everywhere it is going to be separated. These are all control rods, this is the pump, steam in case of turbines, afterwards pass through the condensers, right? So water steam flow. This is about the schematic representation. So nuclear plant scenario. So as the reaction occurs, the uranium fuel becomes hot. It gets heated first. Afterwards, the water pumped through the core in pressure tubes removes the heat from the fuel. Then later on, water is boiled into steam. The steam turns the turbines. The water is then cooled. Then the process repeats. It was all happened on the Saturday, April 26, 1986. The reactor was undergoing a test to test the backup power supply in case of a power loss. So the power fell too low, allowing the concentration of this xenon 135 to rise. So the workers continued the test, and in order to control the risking levels of xenon 135, the control rods were pulled out. So the experiment involved shutting down the coolant plants, which caused the coolant to rapidly heat up and boil. So pockets of steam formed in the coolant lines. When the coolant expanded in the particular design, the power level went up. All control rods were ordered to be inserted. As the rods were inserted, they became deformed and stuck. The reaction could not be stopped at the moment. So what is the ultimate cause? The rods melted and the steam pressure caused an explosion, which blew a hole in the roof. A graphite fire also resulted from the explosion. This is the before that, see how it was happened. The Chernobyl reactor after the explosion has taken place. So it became like a desert. So what is the cycle of radioactive materials into the human body? So whatever you consume, everywhere this one. So finally what will happen? It affects the human. What is the immediate impact? So 203 people were hospitalized immediately, and out of them 31 are spot dead, and most of them are workers in the plant or local firefighters. So this leads to the Black Sea carried the radiation for miles in the following days. That is, Scandinavian detectors picked up on the abundance of radiation, but the Soviet government denied everything. So it did not allow. And apart from that one, the winds are also carried this radiation, so that it is carried to a little bit longer distance. So people are evacuated the day after the explosion. A month later, almost 1,16,000 people in an 18-mile radius of the plant were evacuated. So there is no, you can say, sustainability, because it has affected to the very much greater extent, right? See, so the effects on the environment around the Chernobyl explosion is nothing but fallout levels were very high right around explosion and affected all wildlife. See how the wildlife forest. So recently we have seen that Amazon forest fires and all those things like this. But that was happened little bit accidentally. Whereas this nuclear power plant, it is going to be destroyed, damaged for generations together. See how it became like a, see, there is no, you can say, human. Nowhere else we are going to find any car, cycle, or something like that, because they have evacuated. How the bones became, see. Very pity situation. People are suffering from thyroid cancers. The thyroid gland is the most vulnerable organ to radiation in the human body. So this is a rare disease with only one case per year being reported in Belarus before the Chernobyl accident. So after this accident, there has been 2,400% increase in the rates of thyroid cancer in Belarus since 1986. So in the Hernobyl region of Belarus, the region closest to Chernobyl, there has been a 100-fold increase in thyroid cancer. This is the graph how drastically it has been increasing. So it also affected other problems like food and water, that milk, fish and radioactive floods, very spring here, then suicide and depression, and even healthy people were traumatized. So the cleanup afterwards, that the Soviet Union government has taken initiation to clean up all these things so that they liquidated. 1 minute. So after such a vast disaster has taken place, the Russian government took the cleanup program. So it take all the liquidators, robots and everywhere to clean up, so that again it comes to the normal life. These are all disadvantages. Just 1 minute. Yes. So approximately 3 lakhs to 6 lakh liquidators were involved in the cleanup of a 30-kilometer evacuation zone around the plant in the years following the meltdown. Such a long process, so which also affects the economy around the Chernobyl explosion. Right. So that's said 3 lakh to 6 lakh people were brought into cleanup. Crops were destroyed. Over $235 billion has spent to clean up the disaster. And Belarus lost 1/5 of its farming lands, almost $700 million AAR loss, and also 50 industries were lost due to the disaster. Today, the plant has been shut down by Ukraine. It's no more working. Cement sarcophagus is falling apart due to the quick emergency construction. The full consequences will not be seen for at least another 50 years. These are some pictures of the disasters. Right. So if you want, you can copy down this one. This is the original YouTube video, and you can have real idea about how the disaster has taken